those who do not know me, I am Bob Kohler, class of 1970. I am president of the Sports Hall of Fame. As soon as we get everybody ready to go, we're going to, okay, here we go. We're going to introduce tonight's inductees, and they will be escorted in by a member of the Hall of Fame committee. First up is the J. Max Stuber Award winner for this year, Warren Stackhouse, escorted by Tia Stuber and David Malcolm Stuber. Next up, representing Bill Boynes, is his sister and a Hall of Fame member herself, Linda Boynes March. Escorted by Carl Smith. Next up, we have Samantha Morrison, escorted by Joy Renfrew. Next, we have from the great state of Texas, Wally Dering, escorted by Mr. Bill Richards. Our next inductee would have been Dick Denithorne, but Dick Denithorne is not here tonight. Next we have William Mike Logue, escorted by Marty Flynn. And we have Kelly O'Connell Liartis, escorted by Mr. Dave Lapp. Next up is Steve Rutherford, escorted by Dr. Horace Bonsall. Next, Mr. Ron Moore, escorted by Ernie Perella. Next up, Amber White, escorted by Nikia Moore. Next we have Rob Robertson, escorted by Mr. Al Andrews. And we have Mr. Joe Arasin, escorted by Scott Kershey. I thank everybody for attending tonight. We have another full house here, which is absolutely beautiful. It just goes to show you that this is the pride in Coatesville. Coatesville pride is right here tonight. Now I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Marty Connor, our first president, for our blessing, pledge of allegiance, and singing of God Bless America. Everybody get your voices out. Please stand for the invocation. Remain standing following the invocation for the pledge of allegiance and singing of God Bless America. Dear Lord and Heavenly Father, we come to Thee with grateful hearts, mindful of all the many wonderful things You have done for us in our lives. Tonight we are here to not only honor but celebrate with the inductees into the Coatesville Hall of Fame. Let's make this night a night to remember. Now bless this food and the hands that prepared it, and give it to us for the remainder of the evening, and see to it that we continue to serve Thee. Amen. Amen. You ready? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands,
Marty. Marty is known in our circles as Mr. Tenor. 90-year-old former Meister singer. Everybody enjoy your dinner. Tonight's inductees span 54 years, from 1954 to 2006. After tonight's inductions, we will have 163 members in the Coatesville High School Sports Hall of Fame. Just a reminder, when tonight's ceremonies are over, we would like to have a group picture of all inductees right over here under the Coatesville Sports Hall of Fame sign. So please don't take off. Let's get a group picture. Tonight's festivities are being filmed by 3CTV Live. I get it right. And it will be available in about a week. You can watch it on your computer. They have an ad in our program booklet, and I'll tell you exactly where to go. It will be archived. And also, pictures from tonight's festivities will be up on our website, CoatesvilleSportsHallOfFame.org, in about 3 days to maybe 3 or 4 days. So look for them on our website. Also on Facebook. Can't forget social media. A couple acknowledgments that I would like to make. Earlier in the year, unfortunately we did lose one of our original members, Johnny D'Amico, and in Johnny's absence, we elected a new board member to our board of directors, and that is our own Hall of Famer, Danny Jones. Danny just joined, and welcome, and a lot of good things from Danny. One other acknowledgement I'd like to make tonight is our booklet. I don't even have one with me. If you look at our program booklet, we redid the entire booklet this year. If anybody has been here from the past, Denny Rousey, who is on our board of directors, is a writer and a publisher. Then he took the booklet and completely revamped it. And this year we had it printed at Coatesville High School in the 910 Center. And the person that did a fantastic job in getting the booklet printed for us is Pam McElroy. Pam is the library secretary at the 910 Center. And Pam went above and beyond. She stayed late when she had to. We went in and she did an absolutely fantastic job in getting our program booklet printed this year at the high school. So Pam, thank you very much. We all appreciate it. You know, this is our 15th year, and it took a lot of people to get this program and get this organization going. When Marty Flynn and Gene Bernite came up with the idea and took that idea and relayed it to a few other people, they also had to relay that to the administration at the Coatesville High School. And they both tell me that the administration has been unwaveringly cooperative. There was no problem with the administration in getting this thing organized, and in 15 years, this is what we have. We think it's above and beyond anybody else's Sports Hall of Fame banquet anywhere. A couple of people from the administration that have given me unsupport whatsoever. Brian and Lauren, I guess Brian's not here tonight.
He's at the homecoming game.
He's at homecoming, okay. Somebody's got to be at homecoming. Brian is the principal at the 910 Center, and he has given us any help that we've ever needed. The other one is the principal of our high school, Rob Fisher. Rob has been a tremendous help to me. All I got to do is email Rob, give him a phone call, and that's not only me, but any member of our Hall of Fame committee. Rob does a fantastic job with us. Anything that we need, Rob takes care of us. So to Rob, thank you very much. I and everybody else appreciate that. We have a couple of new administration members here tonight. I'd like to introduce our new athletic director, Director of Athletics and Compliance, Mr. Corey Siegel, and his wife, Christine. Corey, one thing came over from Downingtown. He doesn't have any blue and gold on tonight. But, we're working on that. We're changing that blue and gold to red and black.
Where's the red?
We'll give you time, Troy. Troy's doing a good job. The other one is our new superintendent, and it is sort of like a welcome home to our new superintendent, and I would like to introduce our new superintendent, Dr. Kathy Tashner, and her husband, Doug. One other thing which a lot of people don't realize is among the 163 members in our Hall of Fame, and with the help of the administration, we have 10 Division I All-Americans, in which there is no other school in the state of Pennsylvania that has 10 Division I All-Americans. That's Coatesville High School. That's the best we get. So at this time, I'd like to turn the program over to Dr. Tashner. She'd like to make a few comments.
Thank you. It is such a pleasure to be here this evening to celebrate all these wonderful people that are here and the honorees that we're going to soon induct. I am confident that you will be so impressed with the accomplishments that you're going to hear tonight. But as I sat here tonight and watched the events and everything that's happened in its totality, I can tell you this is about more than athletics. This is about a community. This sense of community that's here that brings us together to celebrate what people have done is unlike anything that is happening in any other district. And so I thank you. Now, few among us here tonight, even though many of us have participated in athletics in some way, shape, or form, we have, whether it was in a phys ed class or in the backyard with someone. There are very few that can boast having attained the level of achievement that's going to bring us together tonight. We've all stood on the sidelines, sat in our armchairs, imparting words of wisdom to athletes who have awed us with their athletic gifts and talents. And you know that, right? We've all sat on the bleachers and we thought we could tell them how to do it. And I don't know about you, but I sit with my husband on Sundays, and is it Thursdays that football is now? Something like that? It seems like it's every night of the week, by the way. And he's quite an accomplished coach, I must tell you. But it is this celebration tonight that provides opportunities that complement the education of our children. And when I say complement, I mean it is just that, because there are few of us that as gravity sets in and we get older, yeah, see, some people know what that means, but as gravity sets in, if you can't run the 440 in 50 seconds, like I'm sure all of us could at one time in our life, and when it comes to the day that the only thing that we're dunking is a donut in our coffee, right? See, you've been there. What remains is the education. That's what remains. That's what allows us to have a job. That's what allows us to fulfill a mission, a passion, a calling that brings us back here together tonight. And so in this first few months as a superintendent, I have been so extraordinarily blessed. All these firsts, not the first time in Coatesville, because I've had the privilege of being in Coatesville for many years. Now I know many is a relative word tonight, but for a long time I've been here. But first day of school in Coatesville. And I'm here to tell you and bring testament to what the teachers in this district have done and do all day and then go out and coach in the afternoons after they're done. What the principals have done for our children, those were first pep rallies at Coatesville, unlike anything else. First homecoming last night. If you missed that, look on the website. Great opportunities. And then this I hope will be the first of many evenings in the coming years that we spend together, because it is an absolute honor and blessing to be here with you all. And so I'm so proud of what we're going to hear tonight, and I've met so many already of the inductees that are going to be coming before us, and I want you to know I can be prouder to be a part of this district and of the accomplishments that you've done that have paved the way for the reputation that this great district has. So thank you for being here, and thank you for inviting me tonight.
Okay, let's get the show on the road here. First presentation is we're going to honor the 1974 state champion track and field team. At this time, I'd like to call up Jeff Chalfant. Jeff's in charge of what we call the Special Recognition Program.
Good evening and welcome. Continuing a tradition of honoring a special team from the history of Coatesville High School, it's our privilege tonight to bestow the Special Recognition Award to the 1974 Boys PIAA State Track Champions. At this time, I would ask that all the members of the team and coaches to please come up. Tell everyone, if you haven't already, before you leave tonight, there's a memorabilia table set up in the back with some trophies from that team, a nice booklet, and some pictures, and it's a really nice display. You should please check it out. So there's no better person to turn this over to speak for that team than 2002 Hall of Fame inductee, Hall of Fame committee member, the legendary Mr. Ross Kirschen.
Very much, Jeff. Folks, there's a lot of argument about things that have changed over the years in sports. There are two things that haven't changed: a stopwatch and a measuring tape. They haven't changed. I went to the Chessmont Championships this year at Coatesville High School, 2014. The 1974 track team, with the exception of the mile run, would have won every event this year in 2014. We wouldn't have won that one is because Henderson had the best miler in the state of Pennsylvania, who ran the high school mile in 4:09, if you're familiar with times in high school track and field. This year's honorees, the 74 track team, won every dual meet, the Chessmonts, the district, the state, and they were the first team in Coatesville history to win an event beyond the state level. This team won the Eastern United States Championship in a meet held at Randall's Island, New York. We were the first team. Our 2006 cross-country team, which many people don't know, won the national championship in a meet held in Oregon. But our 74 team that you see in front of you was the first team to win anything beyond the state level. And I think perhaps the highlight was winning the Mile Relay Championship of America at the Penn Relays, where they beat not only the best teams in this country, they beat the best teams in the world, including the Jamaicans. The runner from Jamaica was so upset that Doug Lewis was beating him at the tape that he eased up and a kid from Central Bucks East passed him. So he finished third. And Coatesville won that Mile Relay Championship of America. The team that you see in front of you, folks, is that team. I'd like to pay respects to our deceased weight coach who we honored last year, Quentin Diedrich, and my assistant coach, excellent runner at Coatesville, and you may not be aware, state champion in cross country when he went to college at Westchester U. Mike Randler was a Pennsylvania state champion in cross country. And beginning with Mike, we have George Holmes. George, at the Penn Relays, folks, they have 7,500 runners at the Penn Relays every year. George Holmes was voted the outstanding high school runner in 1974. events at the Penn Relays, the high hurdles, and was on our winning mile relay team. At the state meet, he won 3 individual events because back then that's all you were allowed. If you would have been 4, he would have won 4 state championships. I mean that sincerely. So that's George. Dave Lapp was state champion in the 880. Back then we ran yards. Today they run meters. But Dave was the champion in the 880. He is an All-American at the University of Tennessee. I get the Tennessee yearbook every year about track and field. Dave Lapp still has his name on 7 records at the University of Tennessee. And they will be on there forever because he ran yards and today they run meters. So they will be on there forever. Next to Dave we have Anthony Greer, who was a member of our high hurdle team and a member of the 2-mile relay team. Next to him we have the anchor man on the mile relay championship team, and he also anchored the state championship 880 relay team, Doug Lewis. Next to Doug we have another member of the state championship 880 relay team, that's Eli James. Next to Eli we have a member of the mile relay team and the 2-mile relay team, Glenn Phillips. And last but certainly not least is another inductee into our Hall of Fame who was a 3-sport star at Coatesville High School in football, wrestling, and track and field. And he also recently had a big loss, 100 pounds. That's terrible good news. So folks, on behalf of the 1974 track team and my assistant coach Mike Randler, and thanks to all of you, it's been a great year for me and for the team in 1974. They were so good I figured I had to retire. We couldn't do anything more. That was it for me, and that's it for this evening. Thank you very much. I would like to thank our first responders for the incident we had this evening, Kelly O'Connell, Liartis, and Matt Lapp. Thank you. You were our first responders.
And just want to add, the special recognition plaque will be hung in the 910 Center in the lobby outside the basketball court, and we have all 4 recipients, including tonight's team, engraved on there, so check it out the next time you're down to school. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff. Yes, and I would also like to express my deep thanks to the first responders, Dr. Dave Lapp and Kelly Liartis, who is a ER nurse. Thank you very much. All right, next we're going to go on to the J. Max Stuber Memorial Award. And to present that award is Tina Stuber and Jacob Malcolm Stuber. The J. Max Stuber Award is comprised of a committee chaired by Scott Hershey, and we submit nominations to that, and the committee goes over that, and is designed to present an award to someone other than an athlete or a coach, someone that has, or actually coaches are included, someone that has made a major contribution to Coatesville athletics beyond being a student athlete. Tina?
Unfortunately, my brother's home sick this evening, so he's not able to be here, so I asked my wonderful nephew to stand in for my brother. Can I pull this down? I'm short. Warren Stackhouse, a committed athlete at Frankfurt High and Morris Harvey College, a dedicated teacher at Germantown Friends in Coatesville School District, a skilled coach, DuPont High, Germantown Friends, Coatesville, American Legion, a motivating mentor to his students and athletes, a respected community servant, Ash Park Pool, American Legion Baseball, a willing and caring volunteer at the Coatesville Veterans Administration Medical Center, a faithful Christian and active member of the Olivet United Methodist Church, a loving husband to Jean, a devoted father to sons Luke and Mark, and a genuine friend to all. Warren exemplifies all that my father and this memorial award stands for, and more. My father revered Warren, the educator, the coach, the mentor, the Christian, the community leader, husband, friend, father. And I know Warren felt the same way about my father. I'm going to quote something from Warren. I asked him for just a little personal note that I could share with you. He said, "I came to Coatesville in 1971 to teach and coach. Mr. Stuber introduced me to his new secretary, Miss Jeannie Hatfield, in 1972. We started dating in 1974 and married at the Olivet United Methodist Church in 1976. The first person to greet me after I got engaged in 1975 and started attending Olivet was Mr. Stuber. He said, 'I'm going to make you an usher,' and the rest is history." On behalf of the whole Stuber family, we're proud to award the J. Max Stuber Memorial Award this year to Warren Manser. Warren Stackhouse. I am so sorry, Warren Stackhouse.
I just received a note on Boynes as far as giving my speech from the Big E, and it says, "Take as much time as you want, up to 20 minutes. So, Earl, I wanted to thank you for that comment. And also one other comment that you had told me when I was able to coach 3 sports. He just said 2 words to me. You know, we would talk about sportsmanship and everything else, and he said, "Hey, Stack, just win." I'd like to thank the Hall of Fame committee. I am very humbled and honored to be inducted in this year's Coatesville Sports Hall of Fame class. I also want to congratulate the other recipients that are being honored tonight in the class of 2014. I have to remember a few names that helped get me where I am today. Al Angelo, my high school coach. He had an opportunity to talk to Coach Black and to Ken Rozowski, and on his words, that's how I was able to get to Coatesville and become part of a championship program. In the first year, Coach Black, Coach Bill Richards, and Coach Mike Rissell took care of the rookie, you know, away from home for the first time, with a job away from home. And it seemed that during that first year, a couple times a month, I'd get an invite to one of those houses, so I would get a good dinner and try and stay healthy through that first year. But Max Stuber did help me out, as we'll find out a little bit later on. Coach Randler. I had a chance to work with Mike, of course, with the swim team, and he congratulated me. He said, "Stack, you did a good job. Nobody drowned this year." So, I enjoyed coaching baseball for many years and got a lot of good tips from one of the finest around, and Mr. Paul Chenger, to work with our pitchers, and it really did help us many times over. Next to my wife and family, this next person I spent a heck of a lot of time with during my coaching career. Mr. Len Frampton and I had a lot of time together as far as coaching the 9th grade team and scouting. And I always felt comfortable when we'd go into a game because Len did a great job with our defense and special teams. We did very well. All I had to do was get the guys to run a couple plays on offense and we would score and we would win. But one thing that Len and I did every day, we did the basics. We blocked and tackled every day. I know that sounds boring, but that to me was one of the biggest contributing factors to our success. And of course, it doesn't hurt at all when you have fine athletes to work with in all 3 sports. Especially want to thank Mac for introducing me to Jeannie, who's been very supportive to me over the years. Thank you, dear. To Luke and Mark, who never really got to know me until I quit coaching after the '95 season. And then, of course, I had a chance to badger them in soccer and baseball as their coach. Guys, you did well in spite of me. The first year I came to Coatesville as part of the physical education department, Mr. Harry Lewis took me under his wing and made things very enjoyable for me. And in addition, I had an opportunity to work with Joy Renfrew and Jean Jarmoska that first year, and that really helped to set me up for future success. I want to mention one other name that I had an opportunity to work with, and that's Mr. Earl Johnson. He's the Chief of Voluntary Service at the Coatesville VA Medical Center. I do more working. I am actually on the payroll. I do some volunteer work up there, but I was supposed to work tonight, and I was going to ask Earl if I could just take off because I was sick. Then I found he was going to be here, so he agreed to let me work the next 5 Saturdays to make up for tonight. So Earl, thanks a lot for that. And one final thing, I'd just like to see the hands of all the veterans in here. Veterans, thank you for your service. Let's give them a hand. If you are in the giving mood, one of my areas that I work with at the VA is the men's clothing room. And we are in dire need of winter clothing for our veterans. If anybody would be willing to donate some good clothing, whether it's new or used, if you'd come on to the VA campus and look for Building 5, that's where you'll find my boss, Earl, and that's where I work out of for part of the day. And we want to try and take good care of our veterans, because if it wasn't for them, I know I wouldn't be standing here, so I'm deeply appreciative. And thank you all. Thank you very much.
You did turn
Like
it
I had
off,
said
right?
earlier, we always get a lot of former Hall of Fame members back year after year to our banquet, and tonight is no exception. From the class of 2000, the very first induction class here, is Bill Clinton. Where's Bill? There's Bill right here. Also from that class, Mr. Syracuse, Bob Fleck. From the class of 2001, Mr. Paul Changer. And also from the class of 2001, George Holmes. Okay, our first inductee tonight, Joe Arasin. And I have to apologize for Joe. I screwed up the introduction. You were supposed to, my apologies, but you're on now. Joe Arasin. Joe Arasin, after reading his resume, I sort of liked Joe Arasin to Coatesville's version of Bobby Jones. Joe was an original member of the golf team, which started in 1960. Joe played all 3 years. He was captain in 61 and 62. And Joe never lost an individual match in 3 years of competition. And unfortunately, if it wouldn't have been for a bad putter one day, all you golfers know what it's like to have a bad putting day, Joe probably would have been our very first golf state champion. He beat the state champion in match play, lost to him in the tournament. And then in 1962, in Joe's senior year in this District 1, he did win the District 1 with a closing round of 70. Joe went on to play golf at Penn State, where he accumulated a 12-3 match record and was undefeated in 1964 as a 7-0. Joe then went on to have a successful 30-year career at IBM as a systems engineer, and it gives me great pleasure to introduce Joe Arasin.
You didn't tell me about this. I just first want to thank the Coatesville Hall of Fame for inviting me to become a Hall of Fame member. It is, at this time of my life, it is very, very important to me. And I really thank you. And as I look at who is here today, I want to acknowledge one person who I never said this until tonight. And that is Mr. Ross Kershey. He was not only my favorite teacher, he was the best teacher that Coatesville High School had. And again, my thanks, great appreciation for this honor. Thank you.
You know, speaking of golf, anybody that is not from this area, not only did Joe make history for Coatesville in 1960, 61, 62, we had a golfer this year, a female golfer playing on the boys team. She plays #1 for the boys team, Samantha Stout. Samantha made national history by hitting 2 hole-in-ones in the same round. Samantha is a junior, and she's a #1 on the boys team. And right now she's in the middle, currently in state competition. So we expect big things from Samantha in the years to come. 2 holes in 1. Some people don't get that in a lifetime. I'm not even a golfer. I couldn't imagine that. Okay, next up is Bill Boynes. Bill Boynes was a track and field star in 1977. He was also a member of the 77 state championship team. Joe was a state champion in 2 events in 1977. And unfortunately, Joe was tragically, I'm thinking of Joe. Bill, yeah, thank you. Bill was tragically killed in a construction accident not long after graduation, and the commencement award for track is named in Bill Boynes' honor. So Bill graduated and went into the military for a little while and then come out of the military. Bill was described by his sister Linda, who will accept the award, as friendly. Is a quiet person, but everybody liked Bill. He gave 110% on the track. So at this time, I would like to present Linda Boynes March, who is also a member of the Hall of Fame, inducted in 2002, to receive the award for her brother Bill.
When it's my turn, my dad went to the bathroom. Anyway, in the halls of cash and on the track, my brother was known as Bill. But at home and in our little neighborhood of Spruces, we called him Billy. He was the oldest of 6 kids, and being the only boy, you know, I think he learned early on to just be quiet. He was a real quiet person. And with 5 girls, he really didn't have too much time to get too much in anyway. So, in his younger years, he was introduced to track through Pop ran some of the summer league track team, as I was and some of the other members of my family. And then he went on to join the track team at Cash. He did the mile relay, the 2-mile relay, and the javelin. I remember one time when I was little, I asked him to teach me how to throw the javelin. So we went in the house and we got a knife. We went up in the woods and got a big fat stick and we sharpened it on both ends. And in the neighborhood, he's trying to teach me how to throw this thing. That was like my first lesson, and that was my last lesson. I couldn't get that thing. It seemed, when he did it, it looked easy, but it wasn't easy at all. And then when I went to track practice later on in that week, I actually picked up a real javelin, and I couldn't do anything with that thing. It sort of kind of almost took me with it. You know? So, but it was fun trying anyway. After graduation, he did go into the military for a little while, then he came out. He got a construction job. About 4 months after graduating from Cash, he died in a construction accident when he was 18. When my mom was preparing for his funeral, she pulled out the medals, and I begged her to have one of those medals. I said, "Mommy, can I have one of those?" She said, "No." She said he worked really hard for these, and he's going to take them. And true to her word, she buried him with state medals on his chest. To the Coatesville School District Sports Hall of Fame Committee, my family and I would like to thank you for this honor. As we are proud of him, I know my mother is too. Thank you.
Next we have Samantha Morrison. Samantha was a graduate of 2002. 2002 seems to be one of the words tonight. We have 3 members of the class of 2002 here being inducted tonight. So that tells you something about the class of 2002. Samantha was a 4-year starter of softball. She was a All-Chessmont, All-Daily Local News, All-Greater Philadelphia, All-Suburban softball. She was the MVP in 2000, 2001. She went on to the University of Hartford, where she was also a 4-year All-American center fielder. And she still holds a lot of records up there for stolen bases and triples. So it gives me great pleasure to introduce for induction into the Hall of Fame, Samantha Morrison.
Good evening, everyone. We have a packed house here, so bear with me. Not much of a public speaker. I wanted to start off by thanking the Coatesville Hall of Fame for putting together this wonderful event. There's a lot of hard work and dedication that they put into this, so thank you. I'd also like to thank them for the wonderful induction, along with the rest of the athletes that are being nominated and inducted tonight. It's a great privilege and honor to be inducted with all these great people. I also wanted to thank my family, my mom, my dad, brother, grandparents, for enduring those long hours of softball tryouts, practice, tournaments, games that you're getting beat so badly that they never felt like they were going to end. They're still there. Sorry, and I thank you for that. Didn't leave my side. I also wanted to thank my lovely fiance and my son for their continuing support, and love. And finally, I'd like to thank the wonderful coaching staff that I had at Coatesville, starting with the late Chuck Lehan, who we just lost this past year. He started the foundation, and then it was taken over by Coach Keith Mazzarelli. They helped mold me into the player that became the Division I athlete, along with my father and grandfather. So I wanted to thank them. And also I wanted to thank everybody in attendance tonight to make this a lovely event. And I hope everybody enjoys the rest of the festivities. Thank you.
Got a stopper there, guy stops.
A couple other former athletes that came back to see us tonight. From the class of 2002, of course, Linda Boynes March, and also Coach Ross Kershey. From the class of 2003, Dave Lapp, Nakia Crutchfield Moore, who is now the Secretary of the Sports Hall of Fame, Jory Renfrew, who was here, who left with Dr. Bonsall, and Coach Al Black. Seen Al somewhere. Where's Al? Al, back in the corner. Thank you very much. And from the class of 2004, who was here, but was Harry Lewis. Harry had another function to go to. It's politics time. Harry's running for state legislature. Okay, now we get into what we call the old timers. I won't go into that. Take it as you want. But the old timers we classify as anyone that graduated before 1960. That's quite a while ago. You know, pretty soon. 1970 is not getting far, so we might have to up that here pretty soon. Our first inductee under the old timer category is Wally Dering. The opportunity to talk to Wally at length, and I took Wally down to the high school the other day to view the Hall of Fame. The Hall of Fame is at the 910 Center. Plaques are on the wall. Anybody can go and see it whenever you want. You just have to contact one of us or the school. It's outside the J. Ross Kershey Gymnasium, and everybody's plaque tonight. They'll get a plaque with their name on it. They submitted a picture. That picture will go up onto the wall forever. Wally Dering. Wally was a self-taught swimmer. Wally learned by watching others in the old Ash Park, back in Ash Park, Central Park pool in the summertime, and in the little bandbox at the YMCA is where Wally learned to become a swimmer. And the one thing that I learned about Wally was when Wally was swimming, he caught the eye of Max Stuber. Mac went up to him and said, "Son, make sure you come out for the swim team." Well, when it came time for signing up for the swim team, Wally wasn't there. So here, Mac had gotten another student to go after him and bring him back and have him come out for the swim team. Wally graduated in the class of 1956. He was swimming all 3 years, 10th, 11th, and 12th. Wally was a double winner at the state in 1956. He qualified for states all 3 years. And at his graduation, Wally held 5 school records. Wally went on to Lehigh University on a full scholarship, then served 4 years in the Air Force, is employed by IBM for 37 years. He's still active in swimming and golf, and as soon as he gets that other knee taken care of and gets it rehabbed, he'll be back out there. Wally was the only double winner in the States in the year 1956. Not bad for a guy that had no formal training. So at this time, it gives me great pleasure to introduce for induction in the Sports Hall of Fame, Wally Dering. before you come up here, we know you were originally from Coatesville, but Wally's a Texan now.
Yes,
So we will give you a little consideration since you're a Dallas Cowboys fan.
Hey, they won us 5. They predicted 3 and 7 after 10 games. We beat the Seahawks, so look at this. I found this in my long, never got to wear it, was in school. How do you like me now? I may get a bit emotional. If I do, just bear with me. I don't want to talk about myself. Everything that I achieved was through Coach Stuber. When I came to Scott, I was in the vocational wing, carpenter shop particularly. And my prospects were limited. I come from a family of 10. Dad worked in a steel mill for 40-some years. So I did, when I was in 7th grade, we had some swimming teams in the YMCA that were coached by Mac's then high school swimmers. John Warhay, Earl Dunn, John Raffiere come to mind. I was never the fastest swimmer. I could never beat Tommy Rust. And at the end of the season, they had the finals. And for some reason, I don't know why, I told myself if I ever get in the heat without Tommy, I'm going to bust my butt to try to win this thing. So I did. And I distinctly remember Mac then saying, now you guys make sure when you come to Scott that you come out for the swim team. Well, when I went to Scott, I went in the carpentry shop. So we were separate. We were in the vocational wing, separated from most of the student body. And I recall one Friday, Mac sent a student over to look me up by name and tell me that the swim season was starting on Monday. Make sure you're there. So how could you refuse a request like I may have gone, I may not. You say, well, why swimming? Well, I'll tell you why swimming. I went out for football and I went out for track in 10th grade. But when you get hit in the forehead by a Paul Changer fastball, which I did, or you get knocked in the next week by John Joe running off tackle in football, you quickly realize swimming's probably the better sport. Besides that, I was good at it. So, but let me tell you, Mac, I did fairly well in 10th grade, and I was in the vocational wing. Mac suggested that, I'd really like you to sign up for college prep in 11th grade because I think I may get you a scholarship. Well, my prospects of a scholarship or going to college were limited, and with Mom and Dad couldn't afford to send me, so. I did pretty good in 10th grade, and in 11th grade he switched me to 200-yard freestyle, which I hated. But in the long run, I guess his plan was to build up my endurance and speed. And it all came together in my senior year because my times were significantly improved. And from day one, I was, I had some of the fastest times in high school. I made high school All-American. Some of my times were the fastest high school times in the nation. So, I have Mac to thank for that. He had a plan. I had something to do with it, but he was instrumental in making it happen. And Tina, I don't know where you're at. Here. But you not only have a wonderful father, but he was a man, really. And I can't say enough for what he did for me. I went off to Lehigh, I got sick, had mononucleosis, enlarged spleen, I had to give up swimming. But it gave me the desire to finish my degree. So when I went in the Air Force, I selected electronics because I thought that was going to be a place to be for the next 20 years. Now, when I got out of the Air Force, I signed on with IBM. So 37 years later, I retired in 2002. Hadn't worked a day since and don't intend to. But I do intend to keep on swimming and stay fit. I just had both knees replaced this year. That's the total of my health problems. So, I got a lot to look forward to at 76. And I intend to be around for quite a bit longer. So, guys, we're glad the nominating committee, the 3 old-timers,
Finally got your act together and got the damn thing right. You got us. Well spoken for a Texan, Wally.
Oh, no.
Wally, we even confessed to this day that it took him quite a while to decide to go ahead and fill out the paperwork and be included into the Hall of Fame. And now he's just as proud as a peacock. All right, our next old timer would have been Dickie Denithorne. Dickie is not here tonight. I'll just say a few words about Dick. Dick played basketball from 1952 to 1954. He is the 50th leading scorer in Coatesville boys history. His senior year, he averaged 20.8 points a game, and it's still ranked 6th all time to a handful of other Hall of Famers. So he had 487 points during his senior year, which is more points than the bottom 20 of our top 100 scorers. So Dickie was first team All-Chessmont, first team All-Area. So on behalf of Dick Denithorne, we will accept the award in his honor. Our last one, yes. All right, I just got a word that they just got from the hospital that Dr. Bonzo is in stable condition right now. Doc's in good hands. Okay, our last, but certainly not least, old timer is Mike Logue, William Mike Logue. Mike Logue, along with Dave Lapp, is responsible for this banquet tonight. Mike is a member of the Hall of Fame committee, and he is the banquet chairman. So what you see here tonight goes to Mike Logue, along with Dave Lapp's help. Mike was a graduate in 1957, where he was a two-sport star, football and track. In track, he participated in the pole vault and the javelin. Mike was outstanding in both sports, and he contributes a lot of his to his track coaches at the time were Walt Funk and Quentin Dietrich. Mike had a very successful senior year in both sports. He broke the javelin record and set a new high school record in the pole vault. At the District 1 Championships, Mike finished first, tied for second in the pole vault, and at the time, Mike was the only Red Raider to qualify for the state PIAA Championships at Penn State that year. In football, Mike was first team All-Chessmont, and he was named the outstanding senior on the track team that year. Mike went on to the Army for 3 years, where he finished his football career playing in France, and he was the captain of that team, playing both ways. Mike is now retired, living in the Coatesville area with his son Eric, and like I said, Mike was one of the original members of the Coatesville Sports Hall of Fame Committee. So it is my great pleasure to introduce, for induction into the Hall of Fame, William Mike Logue.
Thank you, Bob. I know my family was concerned about me coming up here and saying a few words, and I said, well, all inductees are only allowed 5 minutes, and I got my speech down to 22. Still have a way to go yet, but I am going to be much shorter than that. But first of all, I think this evening there is a whole lot of thanks that has to be spread around here to the committee, the community, and everybody that was responsible for me accomplishing what I did back in the 50s. First of all, I want to thank the committee for voting me into the Hall of Fame. I am very proud of that and honored
to be a member of such an illustrious organization, to be a member of it, and also be in the fraternity of the Hall of Fame members that have been inducted into it. No doubt in my mind, and no doubt in the community's mind, Coatesville is not only one of the finest school districts, even though we all know how things get twisted and turned. But academically, athletically, teacher-wise, doesn't have to take a back seat to anyone. I know that I want to also thank and congratulate the class of 2014. I had the opportunity to meet, I think, all of them. If not, I will be before the evening is over. And to me, I think it's a wonderful class. It has been 57 years since I graduated from Scott High. I guess that's why they call us old-timers. And I would not be here tonight, and I know my two coaches were mentioned earlier, if not for Walt Funk, that's also an inductee into the Hall of Fame, and Quentin Dietrich. Mr. Funk still lives locally and is in his 90s, and if it wasn't for them, I know I would not have accomplished what I did in track and field. I also want to thank my family. My family is here tonight, my family and friends that are here to support me, and especially my one and only granddaughter that flew in from California to be here to honor her grandfather. In closing, there's one thing that I want to say, and if you're a Coatesville fan, which I'm a very avid Coatesville fan, if you've been to the game on Friday night, or if you've been to any of the football games, which me and my friends, we all go to, Coatesville, 2 more games. 2 more games for a perfect season. I think it's attainable. I hope they do, and go Red Raiders.
Thank you, Mike. And yes, mention that football game. If anybody here was at that game Friday night for a homecoming game, Coatesville probably played their finest defensive game of the year. They just completely dismantled a tough Henderson rushing attack, limiting Henderson to 161 total yards. Coatesville won that game 21-3. It was a really fascinating game. A couple other former members that have come back to see us. Class of 2005 is Jeannie Jarmoska. I think Jeannie also left with Doc, or with Helen. And from the class of 2005, Rosie DeSantis. Here's Rosie. Rosie is all the way in the back. Thank you. From the class of 2006, Logue Lewis. From the class of 2007, Nikki DePedro. Mark McWilliams. Mark's here somewhere. There he is. And Bill Mendenhall Jr. Thank you very much. Next on the agenda, Kelly O'Connell Liartis. Kelly, another one from the class of 2002. Kelly was nominated for cross country. She was a 3-time Chessmont cross country champion, 1999, 2000, 2001. Also a member that year, the Coatesville won the team championship, 1998, 1999, 2000, 2001. Kelly was qualified for states 4 years, 1998, 99, 2000, 2001, where she finished third in the state that year. Class of 2002, she was named the Outstanding Female Athlete. If you look in your program, there is a picture of Kelly and the other nominee tonight, Robertson, who both won the Coatesville Cross Country, Coatesville Steel City Invitational that year. So that's a nice picture. Kelly went on to be a graduate at the University of Pittsburgh, where she is currently a nurse manager in an observation unit and a pre-op area. She resides in Pittsburgh, and it gives me great honor and privilege to nominate, for induction, Kelly Liartis.
Hello everyone. I've been informed by my family to go slow and not cry, so I will try to move. This is an emotional night though. I'd like to thank the Hall of Fame committee for this honor of being inducted and putting together this beautiful night. It's absolutely amazing. I'd also like to thank the Coatesville community. The entire time that I ran, there was never a corner you turned on that track where I didn't have somebody in my corner. Every time I went to the grocery store, after a meet or whatnot, people that I never met, I don't know who they were, but I knew they were from Coatesville, had come up and congratulated me. I saw you in the paper, we read about your team. They made you feel like a celebrity, I guess, and you always had somebody in your corner. My teammates, I definitely have to thank them. Some of them here tonight, Scott Shortledge, Rob Robertson, Matt Lapp. We were a family. We were so much more than just teammates. We did everything together. We saw each other 6 a.m. in the morning every day. Then we saw each other after school. We saw each other twice a day in the summer. They really were always there for you. You couldn't ask for a better group of people. My parents, I definitely have to thank them. My mom, God, she dealt with me, taking me to and from practices all the time, listening to my complaining every step of the way, getting up early and whatnot. But she was always in my corner as well. I still have, before every meet, I got a small gift, something red and black. I had more red and black than you can imagine. My dad really instilled in me my strong work ethic and just dedication to things. If you didn't see my dad at a meet, you heard him. You could not miss my dad's voice. No matter where you stood in the race, my dad acted like somebody was right behind you every step of the way. He just made you always want to do better and better. And lastly, I would like to thank all of my coaches. There were so many, but in particular to Mr. Keith Andrews. I met him 7th grade, North Brandywine. My parents thought it would be good for me to start running with the team, and Mr. Andrews, I didn't know anyone, but he always made me feel comfortable. Then all through high school, I only say Mr. Andrews could run faster than I think me at any point in time. He could run any practice with me and beat me every time. But he was amazing. And lastly, I have to thank Mr. David Lapp. He is hands down the most amazing people I have ever met. If you want to know somebody who believes in Coatesville inside and out, it's Mr. Lapp. He makes you so proud to be from Coatesville. He made every single one of us feel so proud to be from Coatesville. He is one of the most influential people in my life. When I went to Pittsburgh, I always thought, I need to find a coach like Mr. Lapp. Well, there is no Mr. Lapp. That's it. You're not going to find it in Pittsburgh or anywhere. He's in Coatesville, and you're so lucky to have him. So running is what ended up putting me in Pittsburgh. I went to the University of Pittsburgh. Today, I actually had a baby 2 months ago. And when you look at him, you think to yourself, what is he going to be? Who is going to be important in his life? And I hope for his sake that he has a community like all of you. You guys have meant the world to me, and so is this honor, so thank you very much.
Thank you, Kel. Next up, Steve Rutherford. As I talked about earlier, Wally being a self-taught swimmer, well, Steve in a way was a self-taught swimmer and diver also. Steve did end up going over to the University of Westchester and getting some help from their diving coach over there. But Steve was a 1985 graduate of Coatesville High School. He's more well known as his accomplishment as a diver. He's probably one of the best divers that we've ever had at Coatesville High School. Steve set a lot of school records and still continues to hold the records for Coatesville. He won the districts, in the districts he finished 4th. Pennsylvania finished 7th, or excuse me, 4th in the Penn States and 7th in the YMCA Nationals that year. Steve spent 4 years diving at the Naval Academy and went on to serve as 22 years as a Navy SEAL. I've seen a lot of resumes in my life, but Steve Rutherford probably has the most impressive resume that I have ever seen. And we thank Steve, and we thank you for that. So it is my great pleasure and honor to introduce for induction into the Sports Hall of Fame, Steve Rutherford.
To the Hall of Fame committee, thank you. Thank you very much. I'm already welling up because I was listening to Kelly earlier, and you kind of hit the chord earlier, so I may have a tough time getting through this, and I wrote no notes. But I don't have to write any notes because I've got all familiar faces in front of me. And so, first off, thanks to the Hall of Fame. Thank you for providing me and giving me this honor to be in front of this enormously awesome crowd that some of you don't know me, but the ones that do made me who I am today. It all started from here, and I have to give a great many thanks. I'm going to make this very short because about 30 minutes ago, my wife's from Florida State, so the game started. So we have to move on. But you know, there are some folks here really special to me. First off, I want to thank my family, extended family. My mother and father passed away many years ago. Mom 12, 13 years ago, and Dad more than 20 years ago. So they're not here to see this great honor that the city of Coatesville has bestowed upon me, but my extended family is here. And I want to thank you for coming out and supporting me, even after 30 years of being gone from Coatesville. So I still get a lot of well wishes, and God's watching over you and all those things, so they're here. Dr. Bonsall, who suddenly had a very unfortunate incident tonight. He wrote me a letter, because he remembered me because I swam with his son, but I still have that letter. And he really wanted to be a part of this tonight, so I know it meant a lot to him to be out here. I want to start with some of the coaches. Actually, not known to most of you, but my first coach is Mr. David Thompson. He's here in the audience, and he walked up to me. You got this flag, this whole flame started in baseball. He taught me how to catch a ball when I was 8 years old. out on the field along with his son. And I have to give a special thanks to coaches, because you serve as when the parents, you serve as a surrogate parent. And you mean so much to every one of us, especially an athlete, as a young kid who was kind of misguided at an early age. You mean so much to us, and for you to give of your time, effort, and your ability and skill just says enormous things. And thank you for the coach's work. And I put you on the same level as my fellow servicemen who I've been with for all those years, because you're giving so much of yourself. And I know the wives and husbands of the coaches have to sacrifice a lot, because one very special one, who's in front of me right now, who got this all kicked off, Mike Riedler. Mike, you mean so much. He woke me up. Well, he saw me when I was 8th grade, and Wally, if you remember Ash Park Pool, because that's where we started, in Ash Park Pool, and I was sad to see that they didn't have a diving board. Yeah, I mean, really, because we would do some crazy things on a diving board. Everybody talks about insurance liability. And I said, wait a minute, that's good stuff. They're learning some really great stuff. Well, Mike came, and it all started with Mike. He saw me one summer. I was in 8th grade in front of Gordon. And he says, hey, you look like you're willing to try anything on a diving board. So why don't you come out for the team next year? And I was like, diving? People do diving? Nothing. I knew nothing about the sport. And neither did Mike either, by the way. He was not a diving coach. That's why he was up here for the 74 track team. But he said, I got these great videos, and I want you to look at these videos and do what those guys do in the videos. Fair enough. What, I'm 12 to 13 years old. Of course, whatever, I can try that on a diving board. So that's how it all started. So 9th grade, while the swim team was out practicing, he's coaching the swim team, I was in his office watching diving videos from the guy's 1950s diving, because that's the only videos we had. So, and again, this was the 80s. Greg Louganis and some of the other great divers were around there, but we couldn't get those videos. So we had the ones from the 1950s. So fortunately, he knew another great coach nearby who I connected with, and it has changed everything for me. I like to say diving, it's springboarded me into another career that I never thought I could do. My dad worked 35 years in Luke and Steel Mill. And my future was in Luke and Steel Mill, and I had no shame about it, because that's what provided for our family. It will provide for my family. I had no inkling of going to college until I met this guy, and he introduced me to my coach, Ron Jenkins from Westchester University, who I had to ride with every day for 5 days a week for 3.5 years, who pounded in me. Ron Jenkins is a PhD, multi-PhD, and a longtime coach at Westchester University. He says, you can do something different. Until about the 2nd year, and I started believing him. And he actually forced me to take the SATs and try it. But again, this was all the beginning. Coatesville, you were the foundation that helped build a career that one never knows they could ever achieve or do, and I want to thank you for that. I want to thank this committee, and I want to thank my Aunt Gwen, she was also one of the first responders to Dr. Bonso over here, for being that person who steps up and serves when the time of need. So thank you all, and have a good night.
It'll take me a while to forget Steve's phone conversation I had with him when I called him telling him that he would get elected to the Sports Hall of Fame. He lives in Tampa right now, and I don't think I've ever seen anybody that was more ecstatic about being this. He said, "You what? Really?" And he had me on the phone for 20 minutes. Okay, next up is Ron Moore. Ronnie Moore. Baseball. Ronnie Moore, class of 1961. Ronnie was what we call a little dynamic person. I had somebody describe to me as Ronnie was totally energetic. He just kept going, kept going. even getting on everybody at the team. So by the way they describe him to me is it's probably like a little gnat, that keeps flying in front of your face. He's constantly on the move. But Ronnie Moore was one heck of a baseball player. He's probably one of the best middle infielders that Coatesville has ever had. He started 48 consecutive games. Started every game as a sophomore, junior, and senior. So 48 consecutive games. Well, a long way from Cal Ripken's record, but we'll take it from high school. Back then, freshmen didn't play. Ron ended up being a two-sport star, baseball, and he also played football. Ron went on to Westchester University, had a good career at Westchester University, played for the legendary Glenn Killinger at Westchester University, where he was also played second base as a sophomore, as a junior, and a senior. He was captain his senior year. But one of the most memorable games that Ron had talked about was when they played Naval Academy, and Roger Staubach was captain of the Naval Academy team that year. And incidentally, Westchester won both games that year. The doubleheader they played against Staubach's Naval Academy. Ron went on to the United States Navy, where he played baseball in the Navy. And then he relocated to Raleigh, North Carolina, where he started his professional career, and that's where he retired from. So it gives me great pleasure to introduce for induction into the Sports Hall of Fame, Ron Moore.
First of all, I'd like to thank the committee for this honor. To be able to come back after 50 years and be honored for something that you enjoyed playing all your life, it's just great. A couple things that I've learned just sitting here, our last speaker, Steve, I'd like to let him know that Ron Jenkins was a classmate of mine over in Westchester, one of his coaches. And I guess I almost was an old timer. I graduated in '61. If I was 60, I would have been an old timer. But coming back here, you've had some successes playing, but the big thing is all the people that you run into, old players that you played ball with. To me, that's what it's all about. And I'd like to talk about one story. I have had some success in my time down in Raleigh. And I think back, because of those successes, that would have never happened if it wasn't for baseball. I can remember my summer year after graduation. I was playing a lot of ball that year. I played for Twilight League. I played for the American Legion. I played in the county league up in Morgantown. I played for Wagontown in fast pitch softball. And I played a couple games. Back then, Central Park would play Columbia Avenue and some of these things. And I happened to be playing a game, I guess it was almost the first or the second week in August. And I can remember after the game, I was sitting on a picnic table with a member of this committee, or he used to be, I guess he still is, Bill Gogler. And he was asking me, he said, Ron, where are you going to go to college? And I said, Mr. Gogler, I never thought about going to college. I said, nobody in my family had ever gone. I just never thought about it. And he said, why aren't you going over there and play ball with Billy Mendenhall? So you play ball with him all your life. And I said, well, again, I just never did that. And he said, if I call Glenn Killinger and set up an interview, will you go over there and talk with him? I mean, this is like two weeks before college is going to start. I said, okay, yeah, I'll go talk with him. And so I did. And Dr. Killinger said, yeah, Ron, I've seen you play ball. If you'd like to come over here, we'll make it happen. So that happened. If it wasn't for Mr. Gogler and that ball game that I happened to be playing 2 weeks before college started, I'd have never gone to college. All the things that happened after that would have never happened. So you teachers out there and your coaches, you never know how much influence you have on a young fella. And that was a big influence on my life. Thank you. Before sitting down, again coming up here from down in Raleigh, North Carolina, where I've lived for the last 50 years, I've really had some good friends and my family that traveled up here with me. I want to thank them for making that trip. I also happen to have 3 brothers that are here tonight to be with me, and I'm very happy to have them here. But again, I want to thank the committee for this honor, and thank all the friends that are here. Thank you.
You mean like, wife or friend or my wife? Yeah, let's go. Good name. She's coming? Okay, good. Let's go.
A couple other former Hall of Fame members that are with us tonight. From the class of 2008, Jesse Chalfant. From the class of 2009, Mr. Chuck Carroll. And also from the class of 2009, Danny Jones. From the class of 2010, Mr. Bill Richards. And our own first president, Marty Connor. And also from that class, Dr. John Joe. Next up, Amber White. There's not a whole lot you can say about Amber White that if anybody knows basketball, it is not already known. Amber was a graduate of 2006 at Coatesville High School, and Amber is the all-time leading scorer in Coatesville High School history. I looked it up, and Amber is the number 24 scorer in Pennsylvania girls basketball history. All right. Amber had a career like not too many others get. 4-year starter, 3-time All-American, McDonald's All-American, WBCA All-American, Parade All-American, and then plus the local schools, daily local news, daily area player. Here's a cover of Amber White on the Sport magazine. Like I said, there's not a whole lot. McDonald's All-American, Street All-American, you can just go on and on and on. Amber went on to North Carolina State University, where she had a very good career at North Carolina State. Went on to play professional basketball in Puerto Rico, and is still active in basketball and with kids in Raleigh, North Carolina. So it gives me great privilege and honor to introduce for induction into the Coastal Sports Hall of Fame, Amber White.
thank you guys, to the committee, the Hall of Fame committee, and everyone. I truly say thank you. I'm humble as I stand up here. I'd like to first off say thank you to God, because without Him and my praying family, I don't know where I would be. As I said, my family has played a huge success in everything that I do. Like I said, they made plenty of sacrifices, and I'm truly thankful for y'all guys. Now, I'm gonna get emotional because I'm so thankful to see all my family together. It's a treat, man, it's a treat. And, you know, that's what I look forward most to coming to my games, is just to see everyone in the stands cheering so loud. And I don't think most of my family has never even seen me cry. So, like I said, I told myself I was going to hold it together, but I'm extremely humble and thankful for everybody, every single person. And I'm going to just break it down and just, you know, start with my mom. I'm more proud of you than you can ever be proud of me. I love you. And to my father, thank you, I love you. To my brother, Chris. I appreciate, you know, instilling my ambition, starting me walking at 7 months, and my ambitious ways continue. To my sister, Ebony, and I thank you for making me tough and having my back no matter if I was right or if I was wrong. I want to thank, you know, the rest of my family, my grandpa Sonny coming down from Philadelphia, my best friends Malcolm and Cassius. These guys they had my back since 5th grade when we was playing on Fisher Price courts. Uncle Hurt, I think he has more Amberlight memorabilia than I've ever seen. Uncle Hurt, stand up and show him your shirt, man. Back there in the back, I love you. Aunt Tanisha, Grandma Karen, Aunt Trina, all my cousins. Like I said, my family has been my backbone, and I could go and just continue to name everyone because this is my support. My best friend from North Carolina is here, and for a lot of people, they wonder why I didn't have number 24 in college, and she's the reason. To my partner Tyler, thank you for your love and support. Like I said, I'm truly thankful. But today I do want to talk about 2 big things in my life. I want to talk about the influence that basketball has had in my life. And to be honest, the thing I can say most is basketball has saved my life. It truly has saved my life. Where I come from, Oak Street Projects, it wasn't, I never looked into and seen this. A lot of people that I grew up with is either dead, in jail, and not many accolades that I have. And like I said, it's very humbling. I've been a lot of places, all across the U.S., and basketball has really shaped my life. I got an opportunity to meet a lot of people and things like that. And like I said, it's just been awesome to take basketball and use it in different directions. Like I said, I'm not no longer trying to play at the highest level, but what I'm doing right now is more fulfilling than anything that I've ever done in my life. And I have an opportunity to touch little kids as they did for me, as people were in my life to help me get to where I was. And like I said, my support system, some people that aren't here, Christina Hamilton, Richard Hicks, Kyra Marlowe, all those people have paid a huge contribution in my life. And like I said, without basketball giving me the stepping stone to help people and push them further and build confidence through that. And the other most influential thing I want to talk about is Coatesville. And everybody knows, just like a couple other inductees stood up here and said about Coatesville Pride. And there's nothing like it. Like I said, I've been a lot of places and seen a lot of things, but when I come back here and when I go other places, it's always my foundation. Coatesville will always be my foundation. People always ask me, where are you from? And the first thing they want to say is, oh, you're from Philly. And I tell them, I quickly tell them, no, I'm from Coatesville. There's a difference. I definitely want to understand that there's no fine line there with me. But I just want to say truly thank you to everyone. I dedicate this speech to my grandmother who passed away of cancer, my coach who passed away of cancer, and my cousin Rajon Tenson. Thank you guys.
Some other former members of the Hall of Fame that are here. From the class, also from the class of 2008, was up here earlier. Gerald McGivney. Oh, Gerald left? Okay. Class reunion. Tonight's 1974 class reunion tonight also. From the class of 2012, Sonny Grasha. Where's Sonny? And from last year's class, in the class of 2013, our two founders of the Sports Hall of Fame, Marty Flynn, and Dr. Matt Lapp. Please forgive me if I missed anybody. Did I miss anybody? That's a first. You know how hard it is to try and stand out here and say, okay, I remember you, Last but certainly not least, Rob Robertson. I, along with our fellow committee member Al Andrews, had the privilege of working with Rob. He was in the same building as I was, and worked with Al in the sales department at Arcelor Middle. Rob is also a graduate of the class of 2002. Rob qualified for the States in cross country twice, took 7th in 2000, 3rd in 2001, was 2nd in the Mid-East Championships. That was among the top seniors from many states. Rob was 2-time All-State in Pennsylvania, and up to his graduation, Rob was the only Coatesville runner at the time to win the prestigious Coatesville Steel City Invitational. Rob established course records at Coatesville, Westchester East, Downingtown, Malvern. He was undefeated in the Chessmont in the year 2001 and also had 7 invitational victories. Rob was on the three-time Chessmont champ team that also won the state championships in 2001. In indoor track, Ron was All-State in 2002. In outdoor track, Rob was All-State in 2002. He was a 2002 Butch McDevitt Award given away every year by the Daily Local News. Received a scholarship to attend the University of North Carolina, where he ran indoor track, cross country, and outdoor track all 3 years. Rob is currently working for Arcelor Middle, who are just shifting off to Chicago. So it gives me great pleasure to introduce, for induction into the Coatesville High School Sports Hall of Fame, Rob Robertson.
Thank you, Bobby. But I gotta say, thanks for putting me last among that list. Yeah, definitely not least, but definitely last.
We'll have to come up with an award like that, like they do for professional football players, the very last person taking the draft.
But no, so I had a 55-minute speech tonight, and everyone's been pretty patient, so I'm going to cut it down to about 46 minutes. Is that what?
We got them up. We got them up.
No, thank you everyone for coming out tonight. Impressive group of people. Steve, I'm going to take my time here to stretch this out, for your Florida State game. What an impressive group of people. I've never in my life been more impressed with the people that come out of this community. The biggest thing for me is it's not necessarily the accomplishments or the prestige you put on people up here. It's what the community does for people like myself. I never look at myself as a standout athlete. Yes, I'm happy that I was able to have success, but all that was built on the people that sit in this room. If it wasn't for the coaches, if it wasn't for the school district, if it wasn't for the teachers, across the board, if it wasn't for the great parents, all the people that sit in this room and drive the focus of not just sports, school, education, the future, that's what does it. And for me, I've been blessed. I've always felt that way. My coaches were phenomenal. Kelly hit on it earlier. Dave Lapp, we used to joke when I ran for Dave that if Dave asked us to shoot ourselves in the foot because it would make us run faster, we would do it. And we never tried it, but we always felt that way. Keith, another one of my coaches who's here tonight, he was the first one to recruit me. Even Jeff Shelfline on the board here, I actually didn't know what cross country was, and he told me that's where you just run on grass. Oh, that's what it is. I knew what track was. That's simple. You run around a circle, but cross country, I thought they were on skis or something. But, Carl. I broke it.
Speak a little loud.
Everyone knows you're full of shit when it turns off. Thanks everyone for coming out. It's been a fun night. We'll close this quickly. Look forward to seeing everyone next year. Thank you.
Story about Rob, which I just found out about. Rob's an account manager for Arasin Middle, where I work. And they recently shipped him out to Chicago where he became that's sort of a suit. So Rob was talking with one of his customers about, I'm being inducted into the Sports Hall of Fame. So I don't know if this customer had ever met Rob or not. So they asked Rob, what are you being inducted for, shot put? I guess they knew, I guess they figured, oh, he's not a runner.
Hey, thanks, Bob. Everyone wanted to hear that.
You're welcome, buddy. I'll see you at work Monday. So, look, thank you very much for everybody attending tonight. It was great to see another full house. We'll see you all again next year. Everybody, please drive safely. Have a good night. Yes. All the lefties over here, please.
Up front for a photo.